Welcome to iPen Visions Podcast, interviews and conversations, where we bring authors, speakers, entrepreneurs, and those with a vision to our networking community and platform. Be our guest. Include your article, your ad, your promotions, and upcoming events in our quarterly magazine. We are proud to be a part of the Collective for Podcast, a virtual tour showcasing you and your business. Our podcast, the magazine, a virtual tour, all on one platform where networking, creativity, and visions meet. All you have to do is contact us at ipendesign@gmail.com. And tonight, welcome to the show. Good evening, good evening, good evening. My name is Nanette Buchanan, and this is iPen Visions Podcast with myself and Felice Reeves. Tonight's show is about something that should interest many, should really interest many, and we are still waiting for my guests. So in the meantime, Felice and I go on and talk a little bit about it. So I'm going to bring Felice onto the stage so we can get this thing started. Felice, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I can't complain. How is it down there in sunny Puerto Rico?
See the smile?
It's sunny, right?
It is sunny. It's so beautiful. Every time I look out the window, I'm like, yep, still beautiful. It's great.
Sounds real nice, ma'am.
Nice. It is. In the shade that I'm feeling, it still doesn't block the sun over here.
You know what? Okay. I can't say that I'm upset about it because I do wish you the best as always. So
yeah,
I am not upset about the fact that you're in sunny weather. Our weather is supposed to go down to, I believe, 40 tonight. I believe it's 40.
That's no bueno.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to go.
Finish there.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to go down to 40 tonight.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's still doing its thing, going up and down. So I really don't know. I'm at the point now where it really doesn't matter to me anymore.
Yeah.
You
just have to resign yourself to the fact,
that it is what it is.
That summer will come eventually.
Oh, wow. Talking about throwing shade. Okay. Well, la-dee-da, man.
That's not shade. That's facts right there.
Oh, okay. I see what type of mood you're in today, lady.
Or, as I always say, come to Puerto Rico.
Hey, you do always say that.
I do. I always say that. But, again, you don't take me up from my office, so.
Well, I'm coming. Coming.
All right. Come on down. The weather in the water is fine.
and in the water. Definitely in the water. Yeah. Well, at any rate, I have to apologize to our listeners and to ourselves. I have no idea where or what is going on, whether or not our guest who asked about the time has become confused, because I do believe she's on the West Coast or Mid Coast or whatever coast.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And she did ask about it, and I told her it was 6:30 Eastern Standard. So I'm wondering if maybe that was a bit of the confusion, or if not. However, the topic is not confusion. So I'm quite sure you and I both can carry this topic without a problem.
Or we'll just talk about something else,
Yeah. I'm quite sure that we can add into, what's going on, how it's going on, and anything else with, today's, I want to say in today's present time, that there are things that have changed since you and I began to parent.
Okay. I felt in that. What? What in the world are you talking about?
That parenting in itself has just totally become a oxymoron.
Okay.
For the lack of better terms, it's become something where we have had to learn and had to think about the fact that what we do as parents matters.
Yeah.
And tonight's guest would have, been profound in that. And I'm not going to say that we're totally out of position as far as it goes, but I want to go down this list, and maybe we'll have to bring her in at a later date. But it is a conversation that's a never-ending conversation. So it's not a conversation that we would be out of place as two mothers. And we have something in I want to say in common.
Okay.
When it comes to the parenting, and that is co-parenting.
Oh.
Well, just your O said enough. Just you realistically saying oh. And one of the things that has gone on lately, I think that what a lot of people have thought about, and you can tell me what your view is on it, is that parenting is only the responsibility of the parent that is with the child.
Yeah, so I was gonna kind of, when I said I was gonna ask you what's the definition of co-parenting now, because I feel that teachers are now in the role of co-parenting. Because we send our children off without a firm foundation of how do you behave, especially in public, and what are the consequences when you misbehave, and pretty much what are the rewards when you do behave, those kind of things. So the teacher is now forced to be a co-parent because there's not a lot of parenting being done.
Let's look at it before they even go into school.
Okay.
You have a mother and a father.
Maybe.
But you have the father or the mother
present
that decides that maybe this ain't it for me. Yeah. Maybe I don't want to be the parent. Maybe I don't want to. I don't want to put in. I don't want to. And it may start small. It may start with you get up at night. I'm not getting up at night. It may start with you doing more of the work or doing more of the caregiving than I'm willing to give. It may start with you spend extra days and extra time that I don't want to spend. Or it could be financial. It could be that I'm putting all the money in and you're not putting the money in. So when we define co-parenting, what are we saying is a definition of co-parenting? Because some people get the idea that daddy goes to work if he's working. Daddy or mom goes to work. One goes to work, one stays home with the kids. A clear point of that has been recently when we talk about the fine lines on the job. They now give the father maternity leave.
Right.
Whereas when I had my children, there was no such thing as the father getting maternity leave. He ain't, you going to work and I'm still staying at home. So when they're either unavailable because of work or they're unavailable because of who they are, the co-parenting becomes one-sided.
Yes.
So even before they get to school,
see,
how are we defining co-parenting?
Okay, but I think we need to reel it back just a little bit further than that, because you are presenting, I feel, a planned parenting decision, right? And
could you say that again? Could you say that part again? The two words with the P's.
Yes, you are presenting a planned parenting decision.
Planned parenting decision. So what you're saying to me is that in most cases,
I don't know about most, but a lot of cases, yes.
there
I
is
think
no
it's
planned
becoming
parenting.
most. Yes, I think it's becoming most.
That there is no planned parenting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
And so,
it's not the same as another organization coming in or others coming in. We're talking
mhm,
about the planned parenting between the mother and
yeah,
the father.
that's correct.
That
That's what
you
I'm
got
talking
9 months
about. Mm-hmm.
to get it together.
Yes.
And what we're saying is, in that 9 months, there
Mm-hmm.
should be some planned parenting.
Yes.
That's good stuff.
Absolutely.
That's good stuff.
Absolutely.
That's
So,
good stuff.
and even to the point of if you find yourself as a single female with, because again, only the female can carry the baby because we've not
Mhm.
advanced any kind of
God
way, to
forbid.
my knowledge, that
Hush
the
your
man
mouth. We
the
don't want to do
man
nothing
carries it.
else. Mm-mm.
It is the mother, but even in that, because for the most part, because we talk about the village, but even in planned parenting with the mother and the grandparents of the child, because
Mm-hmm.
they are now a big part of co-parenting. They were, from the beginning, because I got my grandbaby and I spoiled her like I was supposed to, and then sent
Mm-hmm.
her back to her parents. But but again, the planning of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, because again, everyone may or may not know not their role, but their responsibility in parenting the child, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so this could be really deep because we go back into, how you were parented and whether or not you agreed with the way you were parented. And then because I grew up saying, I ain't never doing that to my child and I ain't never.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Turn
Mm-hmm.
around, there's a lot of things that I did go back and say, oh, no, we ain't doing that
Right.
because now I have context, right? Um,
Right.
so,
And not
so
only that, I mean, it's nothing to say that all of us know everything, because
no,
not every child
absolutely.
is not every child has the same thing. Not
That's right.
every
Well, and they
even
don't come with an instruction manual neither.
instructions.
So they
No, they
don't.
don't come with an
They
instruction
don't.
manual.
You figure it
Every
out
child
as
is
you go.
every child is not the same.
That's right.
However, like you said, if there is planned parenting between the mother and the father, then co-parenting
Mm-hmm.
should not become a difficult topic
That's right.
as long as it's planned. Now, even if you have it where, let's take for example, you have an example where the parents are married,
Mm-hmm.
and in the marriage it dissolves. The children are already there, but
Mm-hmm.
the marriage dissolves,
Right.
and now you have one parent that is a
Mm-hmm.
constant,
Mm-hmm.
another parent that may be part-time,
Yeah.
but the one that is the constant is making demands on the other as though they still are in the same relationship.
Well, when it comes to the kids, I'm kind of thinking that as it should be, right? Because if you become the absent parent, it becomes optional whether you want it to or not, right? Because the parent that leaves the home, the one that, they're outside of the home now, right? So
Mhm.
it's an option for them, whether or not they're dedicated or not, because again, the child doesn't come home to that address,
Mhm.
after school or
But
anything.
that's an optional for the care and the everything else, but the responsibilities, do
Mm-hmm.
the responsibilities diminish simply because I'm not in the home?
Heck no.
Am I still
I'm upset.
responsible? Am I still Of course, I can't be there hands on, but do I
Well, you
still have
could.
shouldn't I still have some parental responsibilities when it comes to the child? when things are done, because let's face it. Let's
Is
face
that a
it.
rhetorical question, or are you seriously asking that?
I'm seriously asking.
Okay.
The thing about it is, the reason why I'm seriously asking is that everyone seems shocked, or for the most part, a lot of people seem shocked when they go into divorce court or they go into child support court, and the judge then explains that you still have responsibilities. You get the me? Why I gotta pay that? Why I gotta do this? Why?
Because
They
I
just
moved on.
we're not together anymore, and they forget that they still have. And I hate to say the word obligation.
But they
I
do.
like to keep it as responsibility, because of the simple fact that, like you said, if we've done the planned parenting thing, however things have gone array between us, you still have certain responsibilities to the child. For example, I remember my first husband having to go to court, and it is funny now, but it was like embarrassing then. But it's funny now because his statement to the judge was, well, if she didn't have them in private school, I wouldn't have to pay for the extra stuff. His second point was, well, if she's working and she's got insurance, I don't have to pay insurance. The third thing was that if she didn't want them to be in these extra programs, I wouldn't have to split the bill for it. So of course the judge automatically asked, do you pay health insurance for your children? He said, never mind. Don't answer that. Because I know you're going to say, if she. He said, do you pay any expenses for anything that your children do? Never mind. Don't answer that. Because I know that you're going to say she. So that's the point. Of course, he had to wind up paying child support. But the thing about it is that that's the point that I'm trying to make. Well, wait a minute. Even though you're no longer with the mother or you're no longer with the father, there's certain things that you should be expected that you're still supposed to do.
Right. Well, and I'm going to go back again to the core of that. You say planned parenting, but they didn't plan. They didn't plan. They planned for having a family or having children. They planned for that, but they didn't plan for parenting, because planning for parenting is two things, actually, because, understanding that as soon as conception, you're a parent. So you are a parent, period, point blank. So unless they took on that role, and there's no, at the beginning, the baby was so cute, I wanted to be there for them. But as soon as they became a toddler and started walking and talking, I'm out.
I can't deal with toddlers.
Yeah, you never really signed up to be a parent, because parenting is all of the things. And then the other thing was that, once again, truly knowing what it entails in parenting. The plan should be, no matter what, you're a parent, no matter what, because what if the child, like I know a family that the son tried to commit suicide. And he was saved from actually unaliving himself, but then his body got damaged to where he's a paraplegic. Okay, so that's a whole different kind of parenting.
Exactly.
And
the responsibilities and the obligations.
I didn't sign up for this. I'm out.
Right. So but the thing about it is
knowing that
things happen.
It's better. It's more deeper than the vows you take in marriage, right? That
Exactly.
through sickness
Exactly.
and health, good times, bad time, rich, poor, whatever, you are there.
And what I want to tell our audience or anyone that's watching this clip is that this is the conversation. And I only wanted to go into a little bit of that conversation because if our guest, I don't know, I pray that she's okay. I pray that there's no problems. But if our guest would come back on at a later date, I don't want to go so far into the topic that we cover some of the things and parts of the conversations that we would have to rehash again. So I just wanted to give you a snippet of what our idea is about co-parenting, defined, and what parental responsibilities are. And then I'm going to go into a topic that we covered once before regarding our youth and regarding the direction of our youth, which is off topic for Miss Johnston. She's a co-parenting coach. She was going to come in and talk about co-parenting and the different things you may have to do so that you can conquer some of the things that we just discussed. So I'm not going to go in detail with all of the other stuff with that because I don't want to ruin that show by doing a duplicate of the conversation. But I do want to go into some of the things that we look at when we say our youth, just being understanding the youth of today and the social media aspect of what's going on with social media and our children. What are we exposing them to? What are we giving them too much of? What are we giving them too less of? Let's switch the conversation to something that we social, being social, not only social media, but just being social, being able to socialize with friends. What is going on with the social skills that our children have, the social skills that we kind of look at and say that's where they become the next generation. What do they attach themselves to? What do we do to enhance some of the things that they do and how they do? And why not give them some of the skills that they need so that we don't have children running around doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing? So that they do show respect, so that they do, have a upbringing at home, so that they. What do we do? I mean, I understand it's just you and me, Felice, but the thing about it is, what is some of the topics that we may need to bring onto the show to talk about, because they are the next generation.
Absolutely.
They are the young adults. And if young adults are thinking that all they have to do is, break dance and sing or get on and get AI and AI will create instead of them using their imaginations.
Right.
Where are we going? And then this thing with the I don't know, you tell me, because you're younger than I am, with the dares that they do, the TikTok dares that they do, where people are really getting hurt, doing those things. So how do we evolve them, introducing them to society, and introducing them to social responsibility, so that their skills are enough for them to be able to survive, for them to know what it is, but then also to understand that there's a responsibility that's attached.
Right. Well, okay. Again, I'm loving that you just giving me these little packages to just open on up and unpack. Take the bow off and dive right in. What you got in here? Okay. So again, we are becoming a very isolated society with this digital technology that gives people, and even especially our children, a barrier between one another.
Mm-hmm.
Because even at a very young age, when you have siblings and you have to learn to live with them inside your household, even that's
Mm-hmm.
being taken away because of these electronics that you can put in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's that huge barrier that is um, uh, deteriorating the social skills that get developed.
Right,
Right.
right.
So there is no
Or it could be just the opposite, exposing them at a young age to things they really don't understand.
right, and yes, and that's a huge part of it, right? That they get exposed to way more things that their 2 and 3 year old brain, 4 or 5 year old brain can't process, even, and so there's this whole thing about organically interacting with one another and figuring people out, right? You have that. I have my youngest brother was a biter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he would just bite you, and you would have to deal with that, right? Um, and so that taught you certain lessons about him first and foremost, and that is,
Don't
don't
get
get him,
close. Don't
yeah,
get close.
don't get
Yeah, yeah.
or even if inherently you're not a biter, but then you learn to become a biter, to bite back,
To bite him back.
yeah,
Right, right,
to
right,
give what was given, right?
right. But the
So
thing that, and it's funny that you say that. The thing about it is children learn to adapt.
hmm
They learn how to adapt, whether it's positive or
hmm
it's negative.
yeah,
They like you said, okay, you got a biter as brother, I'm gonna learn how to bite back.
yes,
Yes,
yeah,
that's negative, but you learned how to adapt. I don't want him
right,
biting me, so I'm
yeah,
gonna bite him back.
that's
You
right.
know, the thing
hmm
about it is that what I think most parents and teachers
hmm
and those that are older, I don't know where the ideology comes that here's this child and they automatically should know what to do. And you
hmm
hand them an iPad, you
yeah,
hand them a phone, you
hmm
hand them anything to keep them occupied and to
hmm
keep them away from whatever it is you want them to do you want to do at the moment.
yeah,
It may not be a learning time because
hmm
you're allowing them to do it by themselves.
right,
It's not
yeah,
like you're teaching anything. So
hmm
it's almost similar to, and it's funny that I say it this way. It's
hmm
almost similar to when my mother used to say, "Just go outside."
yeah.
Like
Yep.
what am
Yeah.
I doing?
That was
What
for
am
us.
I?
And they had no clue as to the things we were doing.
We
I
were
mean,
doing outside,
yes,
but the
yes, we
thing
were doing
was
outside.
just go
hmm
outside,
That's right.
So
And
now
don't
you
come
can go
back in
outside,
here till I call you or till
and
dinner's
don't you
ready,
knock on the
right?
door too many times about coming back in here.
That's right.
So it
That's
was
right.
almost like an open exploratory
Yeah.
for us to learn how to
hmm
climb a tree,
That's
how to
right.
walk down the street, how to cross the
hmm
street, how to go
Yeah.
around the corner, how to hang out with our
hmm
friends, how to we
hmm
had such an open environment of
hmm
things to
Yeah.
explore
hmm
when we went outside. And
Right.
it seems to be that in this generation, and I'd say maybe 10 or 15 years prior to,
hmm
um, that from that point on, it has
hmm
been here, explore this,
Right.
here,
Right.
explore that.
Right.
We've opened up the television
Uh-huh. Yeah.
to internet television,
Yeah.
cable channels. There
Yes.
used to be a thing where there was a automatic, do you want to block any of these stations? I
Yeah.
very rarely see that now. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
that the parental block is there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just looking at it as that's the same thing as our mothers opening up the door and
Mm-hmm.
saying, go outside.
That's
Now,
right.
yes, we did not have to worry about,
Mm,
some stranger walking up on us or to
yeah.
worry about some gunshots or gunfight, but it was just as dangerous.
Right. Right,
because the
and
things
that's the thing of it. But because yes, there were better times and safer times because there was a lot more human interaction with one another.
mm-hmm,
Right now, I know things. There's always been those I don't know whatever the negative is, those
predators,
wrongdoings, yeah,
yeah,
whether they
predators,
be predators or whether they be,
mm-hmm,
just so not so good people, but um it was more subversive. It wasn't like out in the open as much as
mm-hmm.
it is now,
And
of course.
a lot of those adults that were older, like I could
Hmm.
remember going to different places and you see the guys that are drinking on the corner or whatever. And
Hmm.
yes, they were negative influence.
Hmm.
Okay, it was a negative, but
Hmm.
they wasn't giving you nothing to drink.
Right, right.
You couldn't
They
drink.
weren't doing
You
that,
know,
and nor
if
were
they
they enticing you to do
they were
certain
not
things.
trying to get you involved, and they would ask you, "Are you so and so's grandbaby? Are you
Hmm.
so and so?"
Right,
And if you
right.
were,
And
they would be like, "Well,
now,
what you doing out here?" You know.
don't nobody know whoever,
Mm-mm,
and nor do they
mm-mm,
care like they used to. So I can remember growing up, and we grew up. My father was in the military, so we were on a lot of military bases, and there was a community there,
mm-hmm,
right? There
mm-hmm.
was a community because you were in the military, so there was that sense of thing there, and still in that age of the village, right?
Right,
So
right.
we're
And
only so
even though the village looked different than the norm of the community or the
hmm
city that you were in, it
hmm
still was a protective community of
right,
making sure that things were done. But nowadays, it seems like everyone is on a free willy as far as what can be done.
right,
To the point where the children are afraid of children. Children
hmm
are afraid of their friends. Children
yeah,
are afraid of what they see.
yeah,
Um, to the point where those that are going on and getting education are afraid to come back to the community where they were
mhm,
raised. They
sure,
want to go somewhere else and explore, thinking that the
hmm
grass is going to be greener somewhere else because this
sure,
can't be it. But
right,
the thing is that these social skills,
hmm
and I include social media in it, but these social
hmm
skills that we teach a one-sided skill. We teach that the world is open and it's a place to explore and it's a place to do this, but we no longer teach the perils. Like
hmm
we knew when the lights came on where you supposed to be,
right. And
you
now the
know.
lights come on and like, well, I'm still outside,
No,
because that whole thing about dinner being prepared and you come home to
right,
that
right.
and
You
you
did
go
not
sit
get an
down and
opportunity. You didn't
right,
get an opportunity not to be on your way home running
right,
if you got
right,
caught with the light on. You
exactly,
know, you got to
exactly.
get to your and the thing about it was you weren't the only one. You
Hmm.
weren't the, just like now, there's no kids that walk without a cell phone.
Hmm.
Back then, there was no kid trying to get back to their house when that
Yeah,
street light came on.
that's
You
right.
know,
Yeah.
there was no such thing as when you hear somebody outside and you give that little toot toot call,
Mhm.
hooty hoot, or
Yeah.
whatever you wanted to
Yeah.
call it. Everybody came outside. You know,
Hmm.
it was still the community concept. So now the
Hmm.
community is on the internet.
Yes. Now the community is on the internet, and I feel that it is fostering this environment of, yeah, just as soon as I can, I'm gonna get out of here.
Hmm.
There's no enticement, no grounding to say, you know, I I can't fathom leaving here. Yes, it's going to be a brave and sort of scary thing to do that, but knowing I can always come home because there is a nest to come home to.
Well,
So,
here's a good point. I'm glad you brought
mhm,
that up. Here's a good
mhm,
point. I remember in stress management. I'm
mhm,
teaching stress management, and I brought up what are some of the stressors that you
mhm,
have in your home. Well, I'm stressing because my kid is going to be 18 next year and he ain't leaving.
mhm,
Huh? I'm stressing. I'm stressing
mhm,
because he has no desire to go to school, and I don't know what kind of job he's going to get because he really don't clean up his room or do anything at home. So why would he get a job? And now I'm stressing because I told him by the time he gets to be 18, he got to be gone.
Yeah.
Well, I had heard that in a roundabout way, in so many different ways, that at 18, the expectations were that the child was leaving home. Okay. And most of the time it was preempted by the fact that the child had done so many things at the house that just showed how they were immature, or they had made wrong decisions, or they didn't think for themselves. They were a follower rather than a leader. So I turned it around. And I said to them, let's look at this. Let's explore this. At 13, going on 14, your child leaves an environment that they've been in since kindergarten. Right? Since kindergarten, most of them have been nurtured in the same school environment. They can still see their third grade teacher. They can still see their fourth grade teacher. Some of the kids have been in the same class with the same kids, you know, every year, depending on how big or how small the school is. Right. They kind of know who their friends are. They kind of know little bits about them. They might even know a little bit about their families at home. They've been in environments with them outside of the school if they're playing sports or if they're doing any extracurricular activities, all the way from kindergarten to 13. At 14, they're going into another high school. They're going into another school. And in some cases, middle school does the same thing. They go from middle school and they change schools, and then they change schools again in high school. But for the most part, a lot of them are traveling the same path. They know who they are, who they associate with, and how they are. Now at 14, you watch this kid and you know that he doesn't pack his lunch. He doesn't do his homework. You have to stay on top of him for extracurricular stuff. He brings you papers that say such and such is going on Friday or on Thursday night. You know all of these different traits that they have. Going into high school at 14. In 4 years, you're expecting them to leave your home and run their own apartment, have their own place, and have a job that could sustain them to stay out of your house. Who's the one that's crazy?
It's gonna magically happen. And there
yes. This is what you expect. I said, so taking that back to the level of stress, you're wondering why your kid is spazzing out.
Right.
Well, every time you go in the room and yell at him, I'll be glad when you get to be 18 because you're going to be out of here. Don't you think that you're putting an extra amount of stress on them?
Yes, you are. And you are doing nothing to prepare them for that except to scare them into knowing that this is
and they turn to these social skills, the social media, the social connections, the social people that they deal with. And you, as a parent, I know I wasn't like that. I, as a matter of fact, I could actually open up a regular phone book. I don't know. I might have some on my regular phone. I have my son's friends' numbers. I had my daughter's friends' numbers. So if I was wondering what was really going on,
right.
Hey, they ain't home yet. What's going on? I could call the other parent. I knew who they were associating with. However, the separation between that and social media is they're associating with the world.
With the world, as you just said, with the world. Because even the little kids, you can't even trust because one, they're not a trusted friend or relative, but these apps, even for children, I don't know.
You don't know whether or not they're adults or not. You don't know any of that. And unless your child is attuned to what they can or cannot do. Unless they're attuned to that. I remember, like I said, when my son went into the school he went to in the 7th grade, they sent home a note saying that they would be allowed to use the computers at the school. However, being that it went from 7th grade to 12th grade, There may be some apps and different things that are open that do not equate to what their needs are.
Yeah.
And that they had to sign off that they would not be clicking on ads, they would not be clicking on colleges, they would not be clicking on certain things, because those things open doors to other things.
Right. Absolutely.
And we had to sign off on it. And I mean, I can go back to, and I don't know how many people can, Black Planet and MySpace and all of those first time apps that we had. And I remember my son and his friend whispering, I don't know, they were in one of my chats. They were in one of my chat rooms, and they were just going at it. And I'm like, why are they whispering? You know, going past the room, I just hear them whispering and giggling. They're giggling. Yeah. And then I hear this voice, and I'm like, who are they talking to? I didn't say anything. I waited. Well, when they got ready to leave the room, they're off the computer and everything. I said, who are you guys talking with? One of your classmates? What, you know? No, this girl hit us up. And I'm like, what was her name? So they gave me the name, and I said, oh my God, that's the lady that's about 65 years old. They said, what? They were like 13. Of course, that was like totally out. I said, yeah. What did she tell you she wanted? Because you know, every now and then she's a little freaky. What? But the thing is, they don't know.
Right. Well, and so even to those 2 and 3 year olds, 4 or 5.
Yeah, they don't know.
They don't know. And you know, I've heard some crazy things about even apps that are targeted specifically
for their age.
Yeah, right? For their age, but it's giving them, even in cartoon form, subliminal messages
explicit
about
stuff.
Killing your parents, or you know, and this kind of thing. And so you would not never, but it was so much harder to allow that inroad to your child, especially if they were
without you monitoring it. You got to monitor. You got to be on top of it. You got to stay on top of what social skills are they, and why is it that all the social skills are just online? What are you doing as a parent to make sure that they have outings with the friends, that they're doing other activities at the school, that they're doing things at the library, making sure that they go to after school programs are great.
Yeah.
Where they still, yes, it's an after school program, but it's a program where they're more in a leisure than a learning environment. Now you can kind of see personalities, and you can kind of get a little adjustment. Make communication connections with not only the children that your children associate with, but with the parents that your children associate with. You have to make it where you build a little netting, because at times I can't pick my kids up. Hey, Felice, can you come pick up the kids?
That's right.
Well, you want the kids to know who Miss Felice is.
Right.
You don't want them to be in a thing where a stranger is picking them up.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want that. So we have to get to the point where we understand that social has become global.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's no longer just your network in your community.
Yeah.
When you go online, when you do other things, it's no longer that they're just networking that way. And especially with these phones and these iPads and all of these other things, we're talking about other people being an influencer.
Yeah.
To your children. And I think that the responsibility has altered. It has been altered, especially my grand woman will automatically tell you, don't touch that, because that'll make you pay. You can't touch that.
Oh, right on the app. Right.
That. And I'm like, well, you want it more open. Yeah, but we don't do it that way, because you got to pay that. No, we have to wait. I have to wait and talk to daddy. Wait, Gma, don't open. Gma, don't open that. You know, like, we could be playing a game, and all of a sudden something pops up, and I go, oh, well, what is that? No, don't touch pop-ups. Don't touch, you know. So she's been drilled about what to touch, Or if I know in Roblox they were talking about people coming on in Roblox and enticing the kids to do different things.
Right.
And she'll say, well, this is my house. And I'll look at it and go, well, is that somebody in your house? She's like, I'm going to kick them out. What are they doing in there? I don't know who that is. That's a stranger. I don't know who that, so you have to teach them how to interact when they're on social media, when they're on your television. I can remember years ago someone calling me up saying they were in tears, saying that their child had ordered up all of these videos and the bill came. Now the father and mother had never seen the videos.
Yeah.
But the child had seen these videos because they ordered them. And now the bill came. So they wanted to know what type of block did I have on my television at that time, because that's the way you can block them. What type of block?
Right.
You have any? I said I have a block called "You Will Get It If You Touch This Button." I'm not putting a block on my television, and I
know, because that's the thing about it, that yes, they are your children, but in society, they're all of our children. Once again, the village, right? But that's the problem with this, is that these companies, and
they don't care.
Right? They're only got is profit. They don't.
Yeah, they could care less. They could care less. Yeah. But my thing was, it depends on what you do. Like I said, on social media, looking at be it Facebook or be it TikTok or be it any of these pages. Sometimes I just have to click and shake my head, because the thing about it is, you're with a camera showing me bad behavior of your child. With no correction of the bad behavior. You're with that camera, and with that camera now I'm wondering, well, what's going on? How is this going on? So it becomes a problem. It becomes a problem. Now I see Miss Clover Johnston has showed up. So let's bring her to the stage. I don't know how much we're going to get in the next minute. The next 10 minutes, but let's bring her to the stage.
Okay, yay.
Yeah. Hello. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. Can you hear us?
Yes, I'm hearing you. Are you hearing me? I'm hearing you well. I'm seeing everything. Yeah, I'm doing well.
The thing is that our time is from 6:30 to 7:30.
Right.
And it is now 7:20.
Okay.
So are you on the West Coast?
No, I'm on EST right now. Right now, I'm actually in Jamaica. That's where I am right now.
Oh, you're in Jamaica.
Yay.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right, for the Jamaica. What we're going to have to do, we did not go deep into the topic. We went into bits and pieces of it to say that you were coming on, and then we changed it to just social skills in our children, just us talking back and forth with social skills. But I don't want you to miss out on your full podcast time. So I want to have a full version of who you are and what you do and how you help some of the parents and everything else. So what we might do is we might have to set up a time off schedule to either do an interview and then post it, or do an interview at a later date. We can do one or the other. So
whatever works for you. We see how much we can get in today, and you can.
Yeah, we'll have to look at it. So just give me a short synopsis of who you are and what you do, so that we can try to get a little bit in. We're going to try to get a little bit in. We're going to let you do most of the talking.
Okay, right. So I'm a co-parenting and women's empowerment coach. And I would like to talk a little bit about how I got there. So I got there basically because I was abandoned by my then husband and left with 2 infants without emotional or financial support initially. And it took years before we got to any sort of regular child support arrangement. So that caused disproportionate co-parenting responsibilities on my end. And after being in this space and just interacting over the years and now talking to women who are experiencing the same, single and divorced moms, I realized that my story is by no means singular, right? So I would like to see myself as an amplified voice of that demographics of women who get up daily and wondering how much support they're going to get today, tomorrow, and in the future. Because even in the case of the United States, court-ordered child support still has a non-compliance of somewhere in the region of 30%. And parents in this demographic, women, are more likely to end up in poverty. And that scales even larger for women of color. So it's a real issue. In fact, I wrote an article recently on LinkedIn about how this is driving us as a demographic into poverty. So I support single and divorced moms co-parenting with a difficult ex using my 3-pillar Heal, Grow, and Thrive method. It's the same method that took me from broke and broken to healed and empowered to be a voice for people who are now voiceless. Because when you are in the pain of a breakup and the throes of breakup, you don't have a voice. You're just living day to day. You're living in emotional overwhelm. You're fighting shame. You're fighting fear. And so you just have not developed the tools and the wherewithal to build the fight that is needed to move you forward.
Sure.
And as I said, I recognize that this is hundreds of thousands, maybe millions across the world experiencing this.
Yeah.
So it's the process of the healing. We haven't sufficiently recognized over the years that the breakup after divorce and wherever you're invested in a relationship, even if you weren't married and there were kids, that it is trauma. And it is what psychologists rate as somewhere between 2 and 3, between number 2 and 3, second only to the death of a spouse as one of the most traumatic events. But we tend to say, get over it, move on, and so. But no, it is trauma. And the first thing we have to do is acknowledge it as trauma and then treat it as is and plan our recovery. And recovery comes from healing, right? It's no different than if you went out and broke several bones in a car accident, right? You would be going to intensive care. So this requires emotional intensive care because you have children who you are nurturing and you are the source of their emotional support. You can't pour from an empty cup. So if that's in a nutshell, I can give you my best.
Okay. So now what I'm going to just go quickly down the banners if I can. Let's talk about a couple of the banners that I have put up. If you had to define perfect co-parenting or co-parenting that would build a healthy relationship, we already talked about what would be unhealthy. If you were talking about co-parenting, even though we're separated, what is healthy co-parenting separated look like?
Okay, so healthy co-parenting, it's shared parenting. That's the first thing, because I want to isolate what I call check-in co-parenting, which is what many women experience, and that's what I experienced. You come to make sure that the children are still alive and breathing, and it's treated as if it's an aunt who has come to visit. So there's no routine, there's no regularity. And that is an important part of being a parent, to be showing up with regularity. So your children can know what to expect. And the other co-parent can know when to step back and when to step in. So shared parenting is healthy co-parenting. That means if you decide to jump ship and there's a 3-month-old baby, it means that as long as there's no violence, in the environment, your shared parenting time, you're going to be changing diapers, you're going to be making bottles, you're going to be bathing babies, and you're going to be putting them to bed, and you're going to be experiencing sleepless nights just as the mom is. So that
and we could look at it, as you're saying that, I'm thinking, even though he or she is not living where the child is, what you're saying is there should be a time where they have the child and are experiencing some of the same things that the parent that they reside with experiences. So if you're picking up the child on Friday and you're keeping the child for the weekend, that means that for that whole weekend, you're changing diapers, you're making bottles, you're cleaning clothes, and you're doing everything that child needs in the infant stage or as they grow. Whatever is going on in their life, you should be a part of.
Absolutely. The experience should be shared. Exactly. So not because you are giving X sum per month to the residential parent, that is going to relieve you of the responsibility of physical care. Because one of the issues in the co-parenting space is the gender stereotypes, right? And all of us are responsible for that. So that's one issue that we are pushing against, right? Because marriages are breaking up over a shorter period of time, and with younger children, obviously. So we can't say mom is the nurturer and dad is the provider, because that is now a myth. And nurturing is learned, right? It's learned behavior. So there are so many issues that we're navigating in this space that needs for a psychological overall because of the changing dynamics in the relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly, because again, just by the very nature of you being absent, you can't be that one role, or even when you're together, you shouldn't be that one role of, one person, one of the parents, all they do is provide financially, that should not be, or only one parent provides, nurturing or caring for the child, right?
Because it would mean that the duties are never rotated, so you are never able to truly step into what the other parent is actually feeling and experiencing. Whereas if the responsibility is shared, there would be a much more commonality in the way we even negotiate issues of discipline, right? And we would both have a hands-on approach, because you are not being told what's happening through the lens of the other parent, but you're experiencing it in real time, which makes a difference.
Absolutely.
Right?
I have a really cute little story about my nephew when he was really little. He was about 3, 4, maybe. And my brother at the time worked from home. So he was with my nephew a lot of most of the day. And no matter what, I love my brothers for this. All of them are very nurturing and caring for their children. It's phenomenal. But anyways, my nephew went to my brother and said, "Hey, Dad," like he was asking for something to eat or drink. And my brother was working, but he was trying to gently get him to go to his mom for what he needed. And then so he was like, he told him, he said, "Brendan, when I was your age, I never could go to my dad and ask him for, to fix me something to eat." And that's technically wasn't the truth, but primarily we went to our mother for, those things, right? And then so my nephew just looked at him, and he was leaning on his lap with his little hands like this. And he said, "But it's not like that now."
Yes, that's a fact. Because mom was the primary provider of the domestic responsibilities, of which providing the meals and arranging the times and all of that. That was mom's purview.
That's
but
right.
so much has changed.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
but and again, I love the fact that his little brain said, "No, we're living in a
No,
new age
no.
right now."
Mm-mm. And it wasn't what he was used to.
Right, exactly.
He gets kind of used to the fact
Yeah,
that dad does this, mommy
Mhm.
does that,
yeah,
which is
yeah.
Absolutely.
basically what it is. But like you said, when it comes to being the co-parent and
Mm-hmm.
you not being in the home,
Mm-hmm.
obligations and commitments are something that the child really, really, really hones in on.
Mm-hmm.
They really
And
look
is that
forward.
commitments with 2 T's?
Right.
Mhm.
With two T's. With two T's. Because the thing
I
is, it's
love
a
it.
commit,
I love
you
it.
know? Because the thing about it is, a lot of times what happens is that children hear you.
Mm-hmm.
They hear you when you say you're coming.
Mm-hmm.
They hear
Yeah,
you say when you say you're going to bring something
right.
to them,
Mm-hmm.
or when
Yeah.
you're going to give them something, or
Mm-hmm.
when you're going to show up
Mm-hmm.
and be
Mhm.
there. I can remember my children constantly saying, "Is it this weekend? Is it
Mm-hmm.
this
Mhm.
Yeah.
weekend?
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is he gonna do it now? Is he
Yeah.
gonna," to the point where I had to just tell him, "Don't tell them anymore that you're gonna come."
That's right. That's right.
Absolutely. I had that same experience with,
Mm-hmm.
especially with my second child. Her father
Mm-hmm.
kept saying, I'm going to take you for a weekend and I'm going to take you. And she
Yeah.
would just be in tears. I've had that at
Yeah.
least
Mm-hmm.
twice. And why
Mm-hmm.
does he do this? Why
Yeah.
does he do this? He says he's
Right.
going to take us and he doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I was never able to explain it. So what it did, it just kept triggering my disenfranchised grief, because
Sure.
there's no
Mm-hmm.
way I can resolve that for myself or on
Yeah.
her behalf.
Yeah.
So it just triggers a very painful situation, which a
Mm-hmm.
child, which she was then of 9, 10,
Right.
11,
Right.
Yeah.
cannot understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
That,
And they
that's
don't
exactly
understand
right.
it. And they
They
carry it, they carry it with them. And it got to the point where I felt, like you said, in the midst of the trauma,
Mhm.
I had already promised myself. At that time, they were a little older. They were young when we broke up with my first husband. We broke up, they were 5 and 2. So
Mhm.
they were young, but by now they were like 9 and 6.
Mhm. Right.
And my daughter was more animate about being there because she was 5 when we
Right.
left. So she
Right.
was the
Right.
one that remembered him. My
Mhm.
son, who was 2, was like, whatever. If
Yeah.
he show up, he show up. If he don't, he
Right.
don't. And
Right.
because he
Yeah.
didn't show up, it made it worse because his thing
Mhm.
was he doesn't show up anyway. So,
Right.
why are
Yeah.
you fretting over him not coming when he
Right. But
doesn't come anyway?
right,
Yeah.
But
right.
the worry
Yeah.
for me as the
Mhm.
parent, was when we broke up, I vowed to myself and I prayed, please do not allow me to make it where they seem to have this framework of a dysfunctional home life because
Mhm.
they don't have a father in the home.
Yeah.
Didn't want
Yeah.
them to feel so.
Mhm.
Of course, when he says I'm coming to get him and he doesn't come and get him, what do? I
Yeah.
go and do whatever they said they
Yeah.
were supposed to do.
Yeah. You go
I'm
and
taking
overcompensate for
I'm
them.
taking them to the
Yeah.
movies. I'm
Yeah.
taking them
Well,
to shopping. I'm taking them. And then after a while, it was, I don't have the money
you
to
don't
Mhm.
have the
fill
money,
in.
you don't have the physical energy, because now your emotional energy and your financial energy becomes
Exactly.
depleted. And this is what I
Mhm.
keep honing on, that it's a disproportionate weight that you carry
Yes.
in real time and
Mhm.
in on your psyche, because you're
Yeah.
Right.
saying, how much more can I compensate?
Yeah.
Where are the resources to
Mhm.
constantly be filling in the blanks?
Mhm.
Right.
And so
Right.
Yeah.
it becomes taxing for you, and
Mhm.
it really leaves you depleted, that you are
Yeah.
just able to not in
Mhm.
any logical way explain to children that young. Because
And
when
and
my
the thing
marriage,
about it is
Mhm.
society wise, we believe that mother versus father, that there is a
Mhm.
difference.
Yeah.
We automatically have that's in the mind of society, the courts, the
Mhm.
jobs. like I said, that the fathers now have maternity leave where they can have a leave. Years ago, they didn't have a maternity leave where they could have a leave. And then I question how many of those fathers that get the maternity leave are actually spending the time with the mother and the child. You know, even though they have maternity leave, are you taking maternity leave and allowing the mother to go shopping and allowing the mother to have free time? Or are you taking maternity leave to say you got days off work?
Yeah.
Right. Because there is I believe also, well, for me, in looking back, I realized that I was so burdened emotionally and financially. I really didn't get to spend as much fun time when they were young and growing up. And that's probably, if I have a regret, that is probably the one regret that I have.
Right.
But fortunately for me, you know, in every situation, you have to give and you have to be logical about them getting the best. So what was fortunate for me is that I had a functioning extended family. My parents were still alive. My sister was very engaged in the relationship with them. My deceased brother was also. So they collaborated with me and they were able to have fun time with their cousins. And because they lived as well away from us, going to visit was a real fun time for them. Right? So had I not had that, I don't know, it would have been catastrophic for me, with them just being in the house and running around the house and playing board games and, you know, and doing schoolwork.
So now, what do you think? What do you think are the parental lessons that can be learned or taught for them to avoid? I mean, we can't avoid breakups. We don't know what's going to cause a breakup or what's going to cause, you know, and we really can't say, because I would have swore that my first husband would have been the perfect father, because he was so well with his niece and nephew that I just figured that if he had his own children, oh, this is great.
Yeah.
He would never walk away from his own children.
Well, you know what? And that's the whole thing about that, because I too fell into that thought process. And that's the thing about it. They're great for the one that it's an option to be responsible for them.
For them, right.
But then you get your own, it's like, oh, wait.
There's no option.
You can't get that back. You can't.
There's
no option.
Temporary in and out. And it's fun.
There's no option, and it's full time and it's full on.
Right, and the expectations. You want the expectations, and the thing about it is, now my husband that I'm currently married to, he doesn't have any children. His children, my children became his children at the age of, I want to say 12 and 9. At 12 and 9, he is the perfect father. He is the perfect grandfather, but he has no children of his own. No biological children.
Yeah, that's the same with my stepdad too.
No biological
only dad I know, right? And so yes, and I too spent that childhood waiting for my biological father.
Waiting for your biological father.
He was going to do this, and you know this, and I'm going to get you a bicycle, and you know, and I, you know, all of that. But luckily, that I had a stepfather that stepped in, and he's the only dad I know, and the only dad I know. Right. So, you know, and again, it carries with you throughout your life, in some form or fashion, right? And even to the point of my children, they too have fathers that, you know, were never in the picture or come and go every now and again. And I'm like, look, play with me if you want to, but don't play with my children. So, you know, I chose that route of, no, you just stay away, because you will not be running in and out all willy-nilly in my child's life. And I don't know that was the best decision. I felt it was for me, because it avoided probably me not being in jail, right?
No, absolutely. No, you are absolutely right. I say it all the time, that I am happy that my mother grew me in a faith-based family and community, because some of what many of us have faced, we could have been violent, and it could have affected us and our children, detrimental to our well-being, and the children wouldn't have had us when they needed us. So it's one of the ironies of life that the biological father doesn't function, but the stepfather and the mom's now husband was a better father than the biological father. I mean, these things happen in life, but we just have to face it as it comes. But you asked about the lessons learned.
Yeah, the lessons. What lessons are learned? Yes. I mean, we all have a tidbit of an idea of what the lesson should be. We all have that idea of, like Felice said, I've learned I can't be bothered with you going about your business. I learned my lesson. My thing was, you're going to sour in your own problem. You know, you're going to find your own problems. And I'm not, I tried. I even tried after I got married again to say to him, you can still be the father, but you have to understand that they don't have to accept you at this point, because now they're older. They don't, you know, and they see a difference. They see, you know, a stepfather that's doing this, and they see you. So now they see a difference. They're not the little kids.
So they now get to choose
their
engagement and their level of emotional
and what they
input.
want to do. And you're asking them to spend time with you, and they have other activities, they have other things that they're into. So they're not looking to spend time with you. But what lessons, even though we learned the lessons, what do you tell these women that they could possibly avoid?
So the first lesson I will say is recognize that you are a mom, and you can only be a mom. I know it's simple, but it needs to be overstated.
Yeah, I like
because many of us try to be both, and it is impossible, and you are going to end up in overwhelm. Psychologists say one stable functioning parent can do the job. Also, never badmouth the parent of the child.
That's right.
In their presence. Because we probably don't recognize it, especially when we are younger, that your child's collective identity is the fusion of both parents.
Exactly.
And so when you tear one down, it erodes their self-esteem. So let them not be your therapists. We can communicate with our friends, with our therapists, with our counselor, our coaches, whoever. So that's an important rule to remember. Another is do not run off with the children and immediately deny access when separation and divorce. Never. Because that will come back to bite you if one parent can say and prove that I tried, but I didn't get the cooperation. That is very parental alienation comes back to bite parents, especially in the teenage years. So we should be very conscious of that fact. And I know there are some relationships where there is so much tension to the point of, when I say violence, I do not mean necessarily physical violence, but, you know, people just bristle when they see each other, right? And you don't want that atmosphere. Use a proxy. Use a family friend, especially for handovers. Use a family friend, use an aunt, but somebody who is mature and neutral, so that where there is that kind of tension that is likely to escalate, you can wipe it out by using a proxy, right? And you can choose your best friend, family members. So that is extremely important. Lessons, another important lesson learned, depending on how young your children were when you broke up. It appears onerous at first. It's a total emotional onslaught. Remember that life has seasons, and the seasons change. Not only do they change, it can just pass in a jiffy.
Mhm.
When we are in the throes of, oh, another letter from the school, another parent meeting, another expense for a co-curricular activity, whatever it is, remember, seasons change.
Yeah.
And I know for many of us, the issue of court ordered child support, and this is really, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, usually takes around 6 months for it to, for it to really start coming with regularity.
Right.
So for people especially experiencing that, just hang on and hang on to your children for dear life and love them, because seasons change and they grow up much faster than we think.
Yeah.
And that's one of the shocking revelations. I mean, I couldn't believe when my last child was on her last year of high school, because there was, I know, this was a new long-term relationship, but it was going downhill. And so I was planning her college education, and we were discussing how the expenses would be apportioned. And by this time, he was in infidelity. And what I didn't like was that he made it public in the sense that this is now a 16, 17-year-old girl. And so she knows. So that was rather unfortunate. And I said to him, okay, these are the expenses that are going to be incurred. I am going to take care of the tuition, because she was going to Canada as an international student. And I am asking you for the first year, this is the figure. Well, as it turned out, the regularity was a problem. Then when she would ask for extras like a computer or any incidentals, isn't your mother earning Canadian dollars?
Oh, wow.
No, exactly. So when we are faced with situations like this, it is enormously stressful, not just for us as the co-parent, but for the child. Because I was on the phone listening to all of this, and again, triggered. So again, my disenfranchised grief, because it's like you cannot completely disentangle from these relationships until the children are complete adults. And then you can, and now you can choose where you show up with them. Because I mean, there are times when you just, it's not that you aren't healed, but when you remember that I asked you for cooperation just to get her through X time period, and instead of even relating that to me, you chose to tell her about what her mother should be doing when I was already bearing the brunt of the full fees.
And it's shameful. It's shameful that they do this, but we really could delve into this in so many facets.
So many ways. And that's
because
why I say
the boys need the father, the girls need the father, the boys
absolutely
need the mother, the girls need their mother. That's
we would
why
need an entire program to talk about the daddy-daughter relationship.
We're going to have to,
and the daddy absence.
Yes, and we're going to have you come back
and who he is to the boy growing up.
Lay all of that out, because of the simple fact, like I said, unfortunately, we're running short on time, and I don't want it to look like we're doing a 2-hour special. So I just want people to know that there are other in the meantime, until we have her back. She is on YouTube as well as Instagram. Her Gmail is available. Please, if you find yourself in difficulty and you find yourself having a problem, reach out to myself or Felice, or reach out to Miss Johnston. She will be more than willing to help you, but we will be having her back on the show. We will definitely have her back for the full hour, and making sure that she'll be able to bring back those golden nuggets. Because the fact that these are nuggets that you can never knock life nuggets. You know what I mean? Anytime someone gives you something for life, or how to navigate through this thing we call life, you can't knock those, because a lot of times you listen, you hear them, and then it might be 30 years later when you need them.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be today. You know, you might not need this today. It might not be you. It might be your daughter.
That is absolutely true.
Yeah.
There's stuff I heard 20 years ago, 25 years ago, and it's still ringing true. And it has also influenced the direction.
You never know. And this might not be you. You might have had a wholesome family and everything else, but now your daughter is married and has an absent husband. You know, the father to her children is absent.
Absolutely.
So you might be able to help someone else. Absolutely. So we want to thank you for the short time, but we want to invite you back, because, like I said, we don't want to make it too long.
I would be delighted to come back.
Okay. All right. So we're going to say goodnight. I want you to stand by, though. We're going to say goodnight to our guests who do watch tonight. And please look again for Miss Johnston to revisit us at a later date. We're going to put her on at a later date, maybe sometime in May or sometime in June, so that she can come back and we can revisit this story, because there's a lot to unpack here. There's a lot to be said here. And we want to make sure that we as a community are helping you as an individual. So good night. Have a good night,
everyone. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for joining us.